Thanks for having me, Janine. I missed you.
And I'm really leaning into, I have to say, I will say, because of this administration that doesn't seem to like women, or excuse me, like women, women, I meant to say, because they like white men. And it's like the patriarchy shit and like trying to take away women's rights, people of color, immigrants, refugees, all of that. I am really leaning into this feminism harder than I have before because I'm like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like things that you would have thought, oh, well, that won't happen. It's like, yeah, that could happen. Things are changing every day and the attitudes. And I'm not going to lie. Some days I'm like, God damn men, white men, like
Yes.
cursing them.
The fragility is so bad. Like my thing, and this, hey, there are lovely white men out there.
Yes, there are.
My favorite humans in the world is a little white man named Oscar. He's 6, and he is the angriest, moodiest man I know. And I love him. I love him. I love him. But I've noticed this thing that men have been doing to me lately, where they're really like nasty and mean, and then when I call them out on it, like have an actual reaction to their nastiness, they're like, what? Me? No, I'm a happy guy. Anyone who knows me knows I'm just a happy guy. And I'm like, you weren't happy 3 seconds ago when you were horrible to a minority. So what are you saying? And they're like, I love everybody. No, you don't. What is the, like, they have this narrative of like gaslighting you in the moment of calling them out. And I'm just too old to not call people out anymore. Like, I have young people next to me who'll be like, I can't believe you just said that to someone. I'm like, I don't care. It's my truth and I'm going for it, baby. Yeah, I'm in a whole new level of life and it's a wonderful thing and I have no complaints.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, to your point, I will say, obviously, and I don't want this to come across as, of course, there are many wonderful white men that my father is one of them, you know, and I love, but there is a certain, I mean, okay, let's get it straight. There is a patriarchy. There is absolute disrespect of women and of minorities. It's like, if you don't see that, then like, yikes is all I can say. But that idea, like, you're right, we need to call people out because and I'll shift gears in a minute, but like to your point of saying it, and there's always this almost shock. It's like, I am so sorry because for so long I've been apologizing way too much, and that's Catholic, you know, my Catholic upbringing and being a woman, I believe, because I see it in other women downplaying how awesome we are. And I mean, that is clear because I will see it out there with guys who are okay at something, but like they are like full confidence. And a lot of wonderful women I meet are just like, well, you know, they're very modest or under like tooting their horn. They need to toot it more. So it's like, it's damn time. I want us all to speak up. I really do. And one of my things, and I know this is where I'm really leaning in, and some people would be like, oh, it's just jokes or, you know, but those, I guess they'd call them kind of like the microaggressions. I'm tired, and this is me because I am 54 and I'm proud to say it, but I'm tired of like even guys being like, oh, you're 29, right? Like, no, I had that happen recently. And I know people are like, oh, he didn't mean anything by it. And I'm like, but if I listen to other feminists and like the background of what that is, it's like, they want to say that. And some women will say it too. Oh, I'm 29 and holding, and that's your business, whatever. But it does, I was thinking lately, it does feed into this idea of like, as women aren't allowed to get older, right? They're not allowed to age because they're not as valuable then, right? And also, if women are younger, then it's like this infantilizing them, right? They're little, they're weak, whatever. And it's like, I said to this guy, I'm like, no, I'm 54 and proud. It's like, please, if you don't want to age and you want to lie about your age, please do your own thing. But if you're going to joke with me, I'm sorry. And it's not about not having a sense of humor. I'm not having that shit. I'm just not.
Yeah. Well, I think I don't know if it's getting older or it's just like the barrage of media that were thrown to us because of the internet and the constant scrolling. But I think we can all get to the point where we can see that like the media has been lying to us, right? Like women don't lose value as they get older. In fact, we are stronger, better. We start finally making the money we deserve. We're finally getting the opportunities we deserve in comedy and children's performing. I'm finally being seen in a different way than I wasn't in my late 20s and early 30s. Like, no, 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 no. You're trying to convince us we're weaker because we are so much stronger. I look at the men my age who I went to high school with, and I'm like horrified at what they look like now. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought it was bad for women to get older. Nah, dog, it's bad for men to get older. And they're so like, they feel it more than us. Like they hate aging. It's a man thing. It is not a woman thing. The way men act about getting older and they're so mad, no one's giving them attention anymore. And we're just like crushing it out there. Sorry, wrong. Getting older for a woman is the best thing that will ever happen. I tell that to young girls all the time. I'm like, being a woman just gets better. Just gets better. Stick in the game, babies, because it's worth it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll say now, I wish, I can't go wish and go back because I'm where I'm at, but like it's taken me a while and I'm still faltering on like apologizing too much, pricing. We've talked about this, still having a hard time putting a certain price on something when asking for my worth, still struggling with that, not going to lie, but I have come so much farther than I was because as a kid, I didn't speak out. And in fact, I just had this conversation yesterday. I was at a conference. I was there more as, I don't want to say an observer, but as a community member, as an advocate for women, because it was really for, it was a medical advocacy conference by WRC, which is our local kind of like women's resource center, but they changed their name to reflect that they serve everybody now. But it was about like sexual assaults being reported. And, so there were social workers there were people in the, medical profession, all of that. But they had this little exercise we did about, so you understand, I think it's called intersectional bias, understanding that people are more than one thing, right? So like, a Black woman being denied a job, she's not just possibly being denied as a Black person, but also as a woman and, maybe has a disability. So it's all those things were not just one thing. And we were talking about, there were questions and they had different groups, like labels across the room, like age, gender, sexuality. And the question I think was, what do you feel like most defined by, or what do you feel different questions? But the conversation came up in the gender section. I was thinking back to my grandmother's time, and a couple other women had the same experience about act like a lady. And that whole thing, because I'll never forget, my grandma was born in 1905. So, I mean, obviously things were way different socially and culturally and all kinds of things. But I remember I was just a little girl. Like I'd be just laying on the couch, spread eagle or like flopping around. And she'd be like, Janine, close your legs, sit like a little lady. And that's, I forget like what the question was, but it led to this conversation where I'm like, that's my memory of you're supposed to act like a little lady. And that kind of stuff stayed with me for many years. And I freely tell people I didn't feel like I started getting my voice or using my voice until my, I guess, mid 30s when I started doing stand up and improv. And now it's only grown more and more where now people are probably like, well, geez, I wish you'd get laryngitis, but to stop talking because I love to talk now.
That's hilarious. Well, I have to say, you brought me like I had a actual like flashback to you talking about like your mother or anyone said your grandmother saying about when your legs spread open. My mother, whenever my sister or I had our legs spread open, she would go, Queen Elizabeth, close your legs. Queen Elizabeth, shut your legs. So my whole life, not knowing I'm on the spectrum and I take everything literally, just right now is the first time I realized, wait a minute. I think her joke is we're not acting like a lady. She's calling. I thought Queen Elizabeth was known for keeping her legs spread the whole time. This whole time until you just said that. I was like, like it was like, like triangles and math was going over my head. And I was like, Queen Elizabeth didn't sit with her legs wide open. My mother was being sarcastic. It is crazy. Like that is one of the biggest blessings of getting the right diagnosis in your 40s. Sorry, I'm moving so much. I'm a little hyperactive.
No, that's fine. It's so funny you said that though. I feel like my grandmother might have said that once in a while too, like Queen Elizabeth, that that must have been a thing. I swear to God, as you're saying it, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like she would use that too because she was often telling me to act right, act like a lady.
Yeah, maybe that was, but I literally thought Queen Elizabeth was some like always had her legs spread and I didn't understand why my whole life. Oh, that took me so many answers. Thank you, Janine. You've actually like solved a puzzle in my brain. Great thing.
Well, I'm happy to help. Yeah. But it was just looking back and like, here's the thing. And I am not in therapy, but I am working on myself as far as, mindfulness and being open to different things more so than I was before. Cause as we get older, it's good if we learn and we're open to new things, but we can't go back. We can't change the experiences that we had, right? We can't, my grandmother was born in 1905. She said things that right now she would be canceled immediately for. But
Yeah.
in this age, right? In 1905, she was born, and what they heard and what they said back then was very different than what we do now. So my exposure to that, my experience, I mean, we can't go back and rewrite our past, our history, what we did experience, but it's what we do with it now. So I feel like, thankfully, thanks to other women that I've formed friendships with, that I've been exposed to, my own involvement in different organizations, my own education, my own whatever, I am rewriting what I'm doing and who I am and what a woman, quote unquote, should do or should not do. And I think we all can do that. And I think it's important for us to be there for other women, to be examples, and to help women do and be whatever they want to be.
I agree. I 100% agree. Like yesterday, I had an interaction with someone, a guy who I would consider maybe a bully from high school, and in our interaction, people you don't see for years always have like in a condescending way. You still doing stand up? Like it's always like you still doing stand up? And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm crushing. I just did a speaking gig at Fox Chapel and a breakout session with kids. Man, my life is awesome. And the way I answered it and just like went on with my day, and I thought, ooh, I wonder. Like I had a minute of, did I come off like super cocky and arrogant? Like, do I love myself too much? And I was like, wait, time out. It's good to love yourself. And a man would answer just that way. So it doesn't matter. Moving on and just like let it go. But I had 1 second of like doubt. Like, I shouldn't have said that I love my life. Like, how could I have done that to this mean bully who's now 47? So maybe he's not a mean bully anymore. Yeah, it was just like, yeah, as women, we want to make ourselves small, but we shouldn't. And so, like, I'm proud to boast or be proud of who I am. It took freaking 47 years to get to this point to be happy and love myself. So I'm going to share it with the world.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. And I will say, I know it's not a competition, but I think you're ahead of me anyway, because I still have, and maybe and it's not just gender necessarily. It could be cultural. It could be, who I was, exposed to as that growing up, and like that not wanting to boast too much or be too positive. I don't know what it is, but I still, like, if people are like, what's new or what's going on, I do find myself I rarely am like, well, hey, you know what? I was just on, local news channel last week talking about this. We've got this coming up. I rarely do that. And I really want to start doing that, but I don't. I will freely admit I don't. I'm just like, oh, it's okay. And, my dad's sick. I lean into more of the negative stuff, and I rarely, and people, even when people are like, oh, I follow you on Facebook, and man, you got all kinds of stuff going on. And I typically go, well, yeah, it's going okay. A lot of that stuff isn't paid. So we've talked about this before. I'm
Yeah.
still doing that. So I'm still struggling, and I don't know what it's going to take, but I appreciate what you're saying, because there's absolutely nothing wrong with being like, hey, I just did this gig, man, and it was awesome. I feel great. Things are going great. And why not say that kind of stuff?
Exactly. And the other thing too, which just makes me laugh, is I was telling a friend yesterday that I was coming on this podcast today, and she's a newer friend, so she was like, "Oh, what's the podcast about?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my friend Janine. She's amazing. Janine does everything. Oh my God, you would love Janine." So in Scranton, like Janine basically does everything for like women in comedy. She produces comedy shows. She does volunteer events. She does laughter yoga. She goes to like I like I'm like you're a queen to me. Like so to me that's hilarious that you aren't going around the world like, "Hello, I'm Queen Janine and I am the voice of Scranton. Hello, nice to meet you, dearies." Because that's how I look at you. I'm like, she could be the freaking mayor. Like she does so much for her community. I mean, bringing in that film, everything you're doing, Janine, is amazing. Your scholarship fund, like you give back. Like you didn't just like go to Penn State and then say, "I'm never coming back home." You came back and then just enriched your environment. Like I think you're a queen, truly. Finger snaps for Janine.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much. That's hard for me to hear, but like, thank
Can't
you.
even
No,
receive it. I'm like, she's like, I don't shield. I am not that person. Yeah, maybe later you'll rewatch this and be like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. I
thank
am
you.
awesome.
No, I have those little moments where I'll re-listen to an interview I did, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah, but thank you. I do appreciate it. And it's like, I think for me, like, and I listen to the conversations, like the interview shows I've been on recently, I do care. Like it's legit. So it's easy to talk about because it's real for me. Like I am passionate about where I live and making the community better. And I thought about this, you and I talked before I hit the record button about this week has been tough, and an encounter I had with my mom, and not being as kind as I could have been, and really what would have been nice to do is be kinder in the situation. We're both stressed with my dad's illness, and it's a lot. It's sad. It's anger, all this stuff, and I could have been better. And oh my God, this happens a lot. I totally lose my train of thought. Oh, okay. Wait. So I got it. I got it. Holy crap.
You bet.
That's happening way too much anymore.
You have too much on your brain, Janine. Is that
Yeah,
your
it truthfully, but I got it. I got it. I'm coming back to it. I overanalyze. I live in my head a lot, and I know that's not healthy. And one thing I'm learning with this mindfulness based stress reduction course about the connection with mind and body, and I'll admit, I spend too much time in my head. So it's not that I don't feel as much as I think. I think more than I feel, I think. But I can feel, but the connectedness I'm having, I struggle with it. Obviously, I see that it's not, I spend too much time in my head. But I was trying to justify or think, well, maybe why I say the things sometimes, and I get stressed, and I could have been kinder to my mother. I should have been kinder. Is it that I'm so passionate? Like there's a level of anger, but I have real conviction. But that's kind of a cop out. I don't want to say that, but like I live sometimes at a heightened level because I do care. Like I'm like, I see litter and I'm like, God damn it. Can't anybody pick this up? Why do they litter? Like I'm not saying it's good to be like that, but I come from a place where like I am heightened a lot. And it's like, I do care about the community. I do care about women. And it pisses me off that rapists, pedophiles never pay the price, or rarely pay the price that they should. And I get angry, and it comes from a place of caring, but I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm like, that's why I'm heightened. I'm not trying to excuse myself. I'm trying to understand myself, I guess, so I can change some things.
Janine, it's parts work. It's like it's everything that I do in therapy with my therapist, where like you're stressed, and that let's say the social justice warrior is coming out, whether it be a family thing that is injustice or it's an environmental thing that's injustice, and you're activated. That part's activated, not Janine, who knows she doesn't want to be mean and knows she doesn't want to say anything kind. That's not who's present. This one's present. So it really wasn't you who got nasty with your mom or got nasty with somebody who littered. It was this person, the social justice warrior. So what my therapist would say to me is go, hey, man, I love how you love the environment, how you care. You're so good. Like I love that about you. But I don't know that we don't have to get that angry, right? Like you're doing a great job, but let me take over. I can do this. I can fight for us, but I don't have to be angry. And so like you love that part. She always says there's no bad part. So even being nasty, that's not a bad part because it was trying to do something good. Like you're right. Your intention is good in your heart. So like be kind. Be kind to your mom, be kind to Janine. And so, yeah, and then have that conversation, love that part, and tell that part they don't have to work right now. You got this. They can trust you. You can take care of it, and you can do it in your way. And that's like, I have to do this all the time, Janine, because right now, especially, this is one of my issues with my career is being confident. And then I have a very, like I have a hatred for people who think they're better than other people merely for doing the arts. Like I can't stand it. Like it disgusts me that Hollywood thinks they need that much money. I am repulsed by the amount of money that go into Marvel movies when in 1936 Katharine Hepburn was making better films. Like I can't justify the disgusting money and ego in the arts. So when my ego is like, I deserve money or I deserve recognition, but it's not an ego, it's confidence. It's not someone being nasty. It's someone who's saying, Gab, you've worked really freaking hard, girl. So no, you can't do a show for $30. And then like I call it like Jesus humility is like, but we're all equal in the world. It's about sharing your art. So then I have to be like, guys, you're both great. And we love everybody and the world, but we also have to value ourselves. So in a kind way, we're going to say, no, thank you. I can't do your show for $30, but thank you for asking me. And that's how we recognize it in ourselves. So that would just be my example of how I've been, because I struggle with that. I was offered to do a show for free and I like thought I was going to take a baseball bat to like inanimate objects. Like I was just like, do you know how long I have been, do you know what I charge people? I mean, I went psycho, Janine. Like I turned into like the nastiest, and my therapist was like, what part's coming out? And then we had to just like do a therapy session on these parts. And I was like, but then the part of me that's like, I should do it for free. God gave me a gift. You share your gift that God gives you. And she's like, whoa, hold up. No, we're reading the Bible every day, but let's hold off. Yeah. Oh, Ginny, it's a lot. I do. That's why I keep preaching my grounding, gratitude, grace. But a lot of times the grace has to start with you. Give yourself grace, then you'll be able to give it to other people. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of my three G's. If I don't do them, I won't be able to make it.
So I want to follow up. I like what you said there about the parts because that's something I don't love the part that said the nest that got angry because it's like in my head what I room is like, no, that was wrong. That was wrong. That was not nice. So that's a different approach I'll have to consider. Like, yeah, that's part of me and love it. Cause in my head, it's like, but you shouldn't love that. That's not right. So I have to learn that I appreciate. And then I also think of with the mindfulness based stress reduction class, one it's based on, I think the gentleman was out of Harvard, but he's using Buddhist teachings and things. And Lisa, the instructor, will often say, like, respond with kindness or lead with kindness. And that I do replay in my head to try to remind myself when I am reacting to something that I don't like, lead with kindness. Because you can not like something, but you don't have to be a dick when you answer. Like, or, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what I'm trying to tell myself. You don't have to like what this person is saying in this email or how they're, treating you. But I think of the leading with kindness. It's just that it's not always easy to do. You know what I mean? In the
Yeah, especially
moment.
when you're activated, like then that's what happens with me. Like I'll be like, you asked for free, and I'm so angry, and it's like, whoa, 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 we're kind. We can do this. We can say no, thank you. You can do it. You can do it. Calm down. But yeah, yeah, it is. God, Janine, it's hard to be alive, but it's fun too.
It's hard to
It's
be a
fun
human.
too. It's a
Yeah.
wild ride. Good thing I don't believe in death. Don't. I believe skin suits die, but I don't believe we die. I believe it all. I believe in multidimensional time travel. I believe you and I are doing this on a TV show. You and I work in a factory together in some other time period. You and I are dinosaurs going, I believe it's all happening at once. Like I don't, I, yeah, this is like, this isn't the show. This isn't it. This is definitely not it. And I don't know if it was falling down the steps. My therapist does think that some out of body experience happened because, I mean, truly, my level of not having any anxiety, like it doesn't happen anymore. And it was happening even though I had achieved how far I did in therapy. I would just have to like do the tools to stop it. The fall happens. I don't get anxious, Janine. Like it's a weird phenomenon. And so we have had this conversation and I'm like, do you think I actually hit something? She's like, there's part of me that thinks you had like some out of body experience that left you coming to in a different state. She's like, that's what I honestly think as a person, not as your therapist. She's like, I like to think all the therapy we did, came together in that moment of trauma, but yeah, so we still don't know. Like that's my big talk right now. My current mental health talk is called Trauma Informed Joy, and it's about getting the right therapy, the right diagnosis, what we did, but then this final part of falling down the steps and how my sister went into a trauma and I was grounded even though my head was bleeding. And we will never know the true answer as to why. But, I'm grateful and I am loving every second of every day that I survived that fall and ended up like this. It's just it's a very wild ride.
Wow, I'll say, yeah.
Because it
it
doesn't
it
happen.
That's interesting. And to your point about the trauma and trauma informed, that was part of this conference yesterday, and it does tie into like the film that I'm bringing here Monday. The whole idea of, well, specifically yesterday, and with the film, it's about talking to and how we treat survivors of sexual assault, but understanding that it's like taking a trauma informed approach and how it seems to be now being talked about, but I guess it really hadn't been the norm. And so like treating how women and others as well, but most, I'm going to say primarily women who've been sexually assaulted, like, why were you there? Were you drinking? All that stuff, like treating them like the criminal and not understanding why. Well, how come her story has changed, or how come it's not linear, or how come it's in pieces, or how come she's just remembering this now, or how come she didn't run away, or how come did she seem like she liked it, like all these things, and understanding that trauma. That's what they're trying to teach now, and it's so important because Yeah, I guess, I mean, and even other people, not sexual assault, but any kind of different trauma, it really, I guess, leaves its mark more than we realize, I guess.
Oh, so much. I remember truly, and I talk when I specifically speak to teachers and guidance counselors, I'm always like, I just feel education needs to be trauma informed. Like, I don't understand how a school system cannot be a trauma informed environment when you have no idea what is going on in the lives of your students unless they feel safe to open up. And most kids are told at home not to open up. Because I remember in being in fifth grade, having a math project due, my mom and my brother, who was an addict, got in a huge fight at my home that evening. I mean, blowout, violent, swearing, brother storming out of the house, walking away, all the neighbors being aware of it. I mean, like just awful in every way. And I was in my like closet crying and scared. And you know what? I forgot I had a math assignment that was due the next day because I was like living a life that was very different than probably some of the other kids in my school. And the next day, like when she was like, pull out your assignment, and I the pain and horror, like I couldn't tell her. I couldn't be like, oh, my addict brother was doing drugs and my mother found them and they got into a fist fight and I saw it and it was, I'm not saying any of this. So I had to just take the lashings of bad girl, zero, F. Math was my favorite subject, and I was just like beyond crushed. And I felt like I was, like you're the bad kid, and it just sucks. You know what I mean? Like, and what I try to say to teachers is like, if you had a kid who's crushing at math, and then all of a sudden, in a matter of a few months, they're failing math, why assume they're being lazy? I mean, really, like, could you not step back and be like, maybe this kid's life, kids are victims of the adults around them. They have to endure whatever that life entails. And the judgment that little kids get based off of their parent doing drugs or their parent smoking cigarettes or their parent being one way or not is so freaking unfair. And that's why I have to advocate to teachers as well for the kids because it's so heart-wrenching. And the thing my mother would tell me growing up in her horrible, horrible childhood that teachers said or did to her, it's just abusive and wrong. And I don't know. You
Yeah.
sometimes teachers are the only adult in a kid's life that could actually finally help them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, hey, I remember my mother and my aunt who were both left-handed and the nuns like beating their hand because that was back when it was like, and how crazy is that? So what if they're left-handed? Like that's just some kind of ostracizing like trait or whatever. And our mom would tell stories of how they would beat their hand to say right with your, right with your right hand, not your left hand. And I can't even imagine that. So again, I talk about and I don't want to say too much about my mom because that's her business, but like in that generation, didn't talk about therapy, whatever. The trauma of like being beaten just because of where your pencil is, what hand you're holding it. And they did that to my aunt and to my mom. It's like, and I've heard stories of other people who attended Catholic school and they're like, yep, like why? Why do that? That was insane.
my grandmother, my brother was left-handed, and she thought it was a mark of the devil, forced it out of him, and the boy developed a stammer. He stuttered and stammered because he was all, I mean, talk about it. And I weirdly have had wretched handwriting my whole life. I may have told you this story. I had a bunch of friends over like maybe 8 years ago. We were writing comedy ideas on a dry erase board and they were making fun of my handwriting. And I was like, guys, my whole life, I always felt like I was a lefty. Like they'd be like, lefties, here's your scissors. And I would go over there, like, Gabby, you're a righty. And then I have to turn directions. Batting, I'd always go lefty. And they're like, no, you're righty. And I go righty. And my friends were like, well, have you ever tried it? Like, try writing lefty. And I went to write lefty, and it was the most perfect handwriting you've ever seen in your life. And they're like, hey, I think you're a lefty. And I was like, I can't. At 37, I am not changing. I mean, I've done this so natural. Like, I can't remember to sign this way. It's just insane, Janine. So I think she did it to me, and I just didn't remember. And I wasn't a stutterer. I was a bedwetter. So, but I was also assaulted. Anyway, guys, let's not get into that stuff. Being a little kid's rough for some of us.
Yeah, yeah, and to your point about the teachers and the impact they can make, and I would say though, in fairness, like this is where it goes back to what we just said before. Life is, man, it's hard being alive, right? Because teachers are losing their resources. Well, now it's hey, Department of Education, we don't need you. They're losing their resources, and some districts are paid better than others, and it's a hard job. It's not an easy job. But then you also have, just like any other profession, some people are a little kinder in their approach in their job than other people. Some people are phoning it in because they're close to retirement, maybe, or they're ones who aren't, who are close to retirement but still love their job. So it's a gamut, right, of what these teachers are doing. But to your point, it is important what you're bringing to them, because that reminder of what is going on in the lives of these little humans, and how could teachers help them if they could be, maybe they're the only kind person in their day, you know what I mean? It's a an important role. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And it like, and little kids are so like with my little Oscar, he if he doesn't eat, if he's hungry, if he's tired, if he's not feeling well, he's like an I call him like an irrational lunatic like psycho man. Like you can't even like it's like a whole new child is present. Like it is not the kid I was just with 10 minutes ago. And the other day he was having one of these little but he rarely has them with me, but I've been picking him up after school. He does a running club, so he'll have to do like 3 laps around the school as a 5-year-old. Well, he just turned 6. But he's beat, man, by the time he gets in my car. So I've decided next week I'm having a chocolate milk and a cake pop. We're getting sugar in him immediately. Our play date will not be ruined by his moodiness. But anyway, he was in so mood, and it was the dumb, like he flipped out about something so absurd, Janine, that like when he starts like flipping out, I'm trying to hold back my laughter because it was so silly that I'm like, dude, this is not worth. Like he pretended he was gonna punch me, wailing, running, trashing their living room, and I'm like holding, I'm like, buddy, I'm not laughing at you. I know, Aunt Gabby messed up. I know. You're so angry right now, but can we, if you, I promise you, when you eat or sleep or feel better, you're gonna laugh about this because this is so not worth this routine. And like 2 hours later, after he ate, he calmed down. I was nurturing him. He got back to himself, and I was like, "Hey, can we talk about when you trashed the living room and were punching walls and tried to punch me? Do you remember what made you so mad?" He was like, "No, what was it?" And I was like, "Oh, well, we were playing make believe, and you were Bowser, and I became the Ender Dragon from Minecraft, and then you became Dry Bowser, and then I said I beat you because I was the Ender Dragon, and you started sobbing because no one can beat Dry Bowser." It was literally over Bowser, buddy, and he just started laughing hysterically. I'm like, okay, I'm just glad you can laugh about it and see how ridiculous that was. But he's like 6, and we can like have that conversation and be like, you get it now that you were just hungry. When I tell you you're hungry, trust me and eat some food. Like you ruined a play date, bro. But I didn't say that. I didn't make him feel guilty. I hate when adults do that to kids because I had that done to me a lot. Like
Yeah.
guilt's a useless emotion. Like get rid of guilt. It's not going to help anything.
Mm.
Guilt is
That's
the opposite of grace. Not doing it.
Yeah. That's what you're describing, though. That's amazing at that level, at that age, that you were able to have that conversation with him and he was able to laugh at it. That's really awesome. And there needs to be more of that, because, and to your point too about guilt, like, boy, do adults manipulate kids. I mean, even like within divorces, or like, oh, well, your father should have been here. Or you know what I mean? All that bullshit that goes on. And I'm not, because it didn't happen to me, but like, you hear different conversations about the kids, and like, even the way it's talked about on Facebook or social media, like the children are used as pawns, or they can often be their emotions manipulated or bought. Like, I won't go down that path, because I mean, I'm not a parent, but like, the idea of like, just here, just shut up and look at an iPad for 5 hours. Like, it's, oh my gosh. Like, I know we could probably go way on this, but like so much can be
Oh,
done because they're little humans, and this is what's going to form them into adults.
well, one thing that I love that has been pushed, and I don't know if you feel the same way, and maybe, there was no one in your family that made you feel this way, but like when I was little, my mom was one of those moms who's like, make sure you kiss everybody goodbye and kiss everybody hello. And there were like a couple uncles that were weird. Like, I don't mean to be mean, but kissed weird, and one ended up doing really bad things to his kids. So like and then I'd be like, bye. You know what I mean? And like it was just like, and now moms, at least there's a lot of talk like, don't make your little girls or little boys hug people. Like you let them do what they want. Like, you know what I mean? And I never, because my friends kind of do that sometimes, like go hug them. And I'll be like, Bubba, you don't have to hug me. You don't have to say goodbye. And you don't have to say you love me because I know you love me. Peace out. And then he, be like, no, come, and like tackle me. And I'm like, okay, okay, I love you too. But I don't want ever him to feel like, I never want him to feel he owes me anything. I just want to be that person in his life that when I'm around, I'm encouraging him, I'm giving him nothing but love and attention, and I'm always going to be there for him. And there's no like, I don't need anything back. Like that's not how this works. Like I'm always team Oscar, no matter what's going on, no matter even if we don't even talk, like when he's a grown up, like I'll always be rooting for him. And I just want him to know that. And I want that to be a very solid thing for him, that he has someone that doesn't expect shit. I just want
Yeah.
him to love his life and be happy. That's it.
He's lucky to have you, honestly.
I'm lucky
But
to have him. He's been a
a
huge,
mutual, yeah, yeah. But
yeah.
to your point though about like kind of like forced affection, I've been seeing more of that, and you're right. It is a I mean, we we didn't have a huge family, so we didn't go visiting too much, but there was that. And I think maybe that's an older generation thing where it's like but even now I'll even say like I do see some younger folks with their kids give everybody a kiss goodnight, like with little kids, and sometimes they don't want to, right?
Uh,
Or it's cute. My goddaughter's little boy, like the one he likes to stretch out before going to bed. So he like made sure he kissed everybody. He's like making his rounds because he didn't want to go to bed. But like there is still that, like, oh, kiss everyone goodnight or make sure you thank them. But I agree with you. I think that was an older thing that you like. And I don't think the intention was bad, but you're right about if there's a discomfort, you shouldn't no one should have to give anyone hugs or have to do that. And I think, and I'm going to go back to for a minute about sexism and about women, the way that, and we could go on about this, I'm sure, thinking about like little boyfriends and little girlfriends, and it is kind of creepy. I'm sorry, like oh, and people still do talk that way. Oh, he's my boyfriend, or like even older one, like oh that little he's my, but like that's just weird. And I know that there's not always ill intent. But even like talking about kids that way. And then like, so we
oh,
have pedophiles and we have all this stuff going on, but then it's like how like little boys and girls and like liking them. And then what I saw recently, this is a little bit different, but it's that idea of like young women being complimented but like creepy. I don't know if you saw that in Tennessee, calling a high school girl you're hot. I think
ah,
that guy needs to be remove him. I'd love to tar and feather him. And of course he looks like, I'm sorry, a typical certain kind of person, like a Bubba, and
yeah.
it's disgusting. And but again, if he doesn't get removed, and like that kind of stuff should not be tolerated. But my point of bringing that up is like when you in the older generations where you're like just say thank you, or like I would have just like thanks. Not that I was told I was hot because I was a little dork, but that's not the point. But I mean, like you'd be uncomfortable, but you'd be like thanks. This should not be going on, and in a public setting that it was actually recorded. That's disgusting.
No, it's horrible. It's horrible. I was at the store the other day and a mom and her daughter in line, and then this old man is behind them and he's just like, hi, the little girl. And I'm like trying not to be judgy. I'm like, maybe he's just a sweet old man. And he's like, aren't you pretty? I'm like, why'd I have to go right to that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why? And I know he could still be nice, but why? Why did it I mean, she might be really smart. She might be very athletic. Why does it have to go right to her looks? And then he's like, here, you want $1? And now I'm like, what the F
You
is
want her to dance? Oh my
now?
god.
And the mom's like, like, and she's being like raised like us, so she's just like, oh, I guess we have to be polite and let you take. But you could see she was uncomfortable. The little girl was so uncomfortable. The guy was creepy, and I was just like, I just hate being a fly on the wall sometimes. Like it is just, this is not my business. Ground yourself. Just be, like I'm grateful that I'm not a little girl anymore, and I'm in charge of me, and I can't be forced to take dollars from old men. And then I'm like, and maybe he's a sweet man, and maybe that dollar is going to come in handy for that little girl. And okay, I'm going to give everyone great, and then I just do what I practice and get through the line.
Your
But
three G's and that's it. Yeah.
and it
It
gets me through it every time, every time.
there is definitely a generational thing, and then I'll move on from this. But like I bring up things and then I of course go, well, maybe I'm being overreactive. Like there's a guy who my father had met at the YMCA, and he was like a handy guy, did different things. So, we had him come over and do like lighting for the outside porch and different things. And he was a type of guy, like really super friendly, and like talk about touching, like hugging my mom, hugging my dad. And like I'm again talking at a point where like if I don't want you in my face, like no, and no, it's not cool. He's not just being, because my parents think I was overreacting, and it's like, but again, they're a different generation. I'm like, this guy is probably like, I'm 54, he's probably maybe 60, a little bit older, but like he was installing the stuff, and then like I'm reading or I'm pulling out the instructions, and he's like literally on top of me, like reading over my shoulder. So I step back and I'm like, he did like a couple things like that where I'm like, and my parents are like, oh, that's right, you don't like, I won't say his name. And I'm like, well, I don't like him being like on top. Like, I don't need that. I don't want it. And it's like, here you go. Here's the instructions. Here's what needs to be installed. But like, and like, it was just not necessary, like him getting, and I'm like, I don't, and then I'm like, well, maybe I am being too whatever, but it's like, it's not cool. And then he's the same type with the kind of like outdated comments and stuff. And I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want you in my space this close. And I have the right to be like, and I didn't say anything that I want to be rude, but I certainly backed up and kind of like did one of these like, like, don't be on top of me, please.
No, 100%. And just that little interaction that you're saying about you and your parents, I feel like this is how so many of us get the disconnect between how we feel in our brains because like you did it, you're like, ah, this feels uncomfortable. Oh, that's you, Janine. You feel uncomfortable when things like that happen. I don't feel uncomfortable. Oh, is it me? Is it, do I feel like that? Now you're, oh, is it, am I, and now your original feeling was the truth. You were uncomfortable and you're allowed to feel that way. Our feelings are valid and they're real. But I think that that is how this all happens where because I used to be so, before I met Leah, I used to be like, I don't know how I feel. I don't know. She had to give me like a baby circular chart with all the feelings. It's color coded. So I'd be like, well, I'm not exactly angry. And I have to go through all the reds and be like, oh no, I'm this. You know what I mean? And I never knew how I felt in like 5 years ago. Could not do it. Now I'm just feeling. That's wild. I hope that all I can do is be proof to people that like I truly was so miserable. I used to be just like I didn't know what happiness was, just a very like only saw death and negativity. And I remember people would write to me and be like, oh, I'm going through depression. I'm like, guys, I'd be like, I want to die every second of every minute. I remember another comedian said, writing to Gab if you're depressed is the worst thing you could ever do because she will take your depression and multiply it by five. You thought you were depressed until you wrote to her and said you were depressed. Because I was not this Gabby. Like I wasn't Gabby. And because I had joy as a little girl and my mom and dad did build that confidence because I was their fifth kid. They were at their oldest, healthiest when they had me. It wasn't perfect, but I still got way more than my siblings got from them in terms of love, confidence building stuff. It's great to return to her and be like, yeah, we can do this now. We're back, baby. Ranger Gabby is back. We can conquer the world. There's nothing I can't do. Like even like I want to say maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, I was getting to like clients were owing me money, pulling all the money out of my savings, getting really close to like, oh my God, am I going to get to like where I can't pay a bill? Like, is it like going to get to that? Am I that low on funds because of all these things not working out? And old me would have lost sleep, sick to my stomach, selling stuff, like cracking. And I was just like, no, if like literally if I don't have the money for a bill, I'll just call the bill, tell them like there's nothing can't be fixed in this world. It's not I mean, it's not life or death, right? Like I got this, I can do this. And I just immediately like there was no anxiety. It was just like it's all gonna work out. Like I know it will. I just know it will. I'll make it work out.
That's such a good vibe and an important one that I'm again trying to work on. But I have hope. I have hope for myself because I do have moments where I'm like, what are you stressing about? Believe in yourself. And I had a friend say, like maybe a year or two ago, she's like, you know what? You always seem to land on like things work out, and I'm thinking, why can't I just lean into that? I can, lean into that. It's like I have skills. People like what I do. Lean into that. And just, and we've talked about this, I think before. It's straddling that, like, you do have to do the work, but then the belief and the manifestation, that's still important too. It's powerful. It can be powerful. It's like, yes, you do the work. You don't just sit at home and go, someone's going to come to me. No, but like have faith that I've built a reputation, that I have done certain things and believe in yourself and the universe and things and not ruminate over things that like, okay, yeah, that bill was late, whatever. It's okay. It's okay.
People have late bills all the time. Like celebrities will be like, yeah, right before I got this sitcom, I was this much in debt, like anything. Like you just, yeah, I don't know. It's not, I just won't let anything take my happiness. I'm not gonna like, even like, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, obviously there have been some things with the current administration where I'm like, I mean, did I think we would all be decimated over Holy Weekend? Maybe I had a couple and I was like, Gab, that's stuff you truly cannot control. Like, have you had a great week? Do you love your life right this minute? If you were decimated, will you be like, I'm dying with a smile? Like let's just say what we have in this moment. We're still really lucky right now. And guess what? I'm not being decimated right now, so I'm okay. Like I had to really just have faith. I also had a really a bad like driving in the winter black ice moment this winter where like I didn't know it was like ice raining and I left my best friend's house and I was going down this winding cliff and I must have hit black ice. And when I say like spinning out of control, cannot do anything, and a man must have also spun out of control and he was standing out in front of his car. My car is spinning right towards him, Janine. I mean, I'm like, this is it. Like, I'm gonna have a vehicular homicide. But I just had to let go because I'm just like, I can't stop the car. And so I'm just like giving it up to God. The man literally went like this, like I was going to shoot him. I'm like, why are you putting your hands up? I just didn't do anything. Weirdly, like some big power, I don't want to explain it, moved my car in the like away from him immediately. Like I was so close to killing him. Car starts spinning the other way. I'm about to go off a cliff, like an actual cliff where I was like, this is it. And once again, I'm like, I guess this is it. I trust you, God. Like, I mean it. Like, I am not doing anything to change the trajectory because I've given up. I've given it to God. Another car ends up in the middle of the road, stopped, and no traffic, nothing. And I'm like, what the hell? And I just go 5 miles with my hazards till I can get to the bottom of the road. Was it my dead parents, my dead brothers swooping my car? I don't know. But I know giving it up and just going, I have no control over anything and let go, baby, worked out. It worked out for me on that occasion. So I'm more likely, I think these near death experiences for me have really given me more faith and just sort of like, I'm not ultimately in control, but I'm gonna have a good time till I get there. So let's go.
Yeah. Wow. I will say this is not, I have not had a near death, but, and again, I still have a ton of work to do, but I will say I've noticed a shift in my, in something in me with my dad. And we've talked about this on offline, and I've mentioned online that my dad has is living with mesothelioma right now, which is a cancer, in the lining of the lung. And so, we don't know, if dad has a couple months or, we don't know. But going through this since June because he was healthy up until this, I am starting to like, again, I have a lot of work to do. I'll keep saying that, but like I'm looking around my house and realizing how much I have. And I'm not a rich person. I grew up middle class and now I don't, but I have so much stuff. And it's made me think of George Carlin with this. I have so much stuff. I have had this like realization of like certain things are not that important. I'm not comparing it to like but like in a way it's changed a little bit in me where like I'm starting to give more stuff to like, and I've always given stuff to like the Goodwill, Salvation Army, getting rid of stuff. But like, I want to do that even more so now because I'm looking around and I have moments where I'm like, this is all just stuff. Like, some of it has sentimental value and I care about it, but I'm like, God, I have so much stuff. And then I go, then of course my mind goes on to like, gee, imagine what rich people must have, but maybe they have just like fewer things, but better quality. I don't know. But again, I'm just saying like the realization, like with dad, where I'm just, I don't know, something kind of like made me go, this stuff is not important, like all this little stuff. And I want to like start really cleaning house and clearing out. And it's just, I don't know, I guess it's a different perspective because of where like what dad's going through and thinking about life and death and all the stuff that like I'm just accumulating is really not that important.
No, it's true. I'm in a very, very similar thing where I've been really getting rid of tons of stuff that I don't need. And I'm really like almost like I always joke that my retirement plan is to become a nun. And I feel because Gab is saving her happiness and her joy and her sanity. I feel like for every part of my career, I just feel like I'm at the best I've ever been, which I think is what you want as you get older. You don't want to just like, I'm mailing it in. I'm growing, I'm still improving. And I just think there's so many more opportunities I haven't even thought of yet.
Well, I love where you're at. I love how happy you are.
Thanks for having me, Janine.
Gab Bonesso. Check out the show notes. I will put a link to Gab's link tree and her website there where you can check her out. So if you have a school that you do cool assemblies and you want to promote something like, hey, empathy, kindness, and put it in a cool way, Josh and Gab do shows with music and laughter, comedy. They are high energy, as you can imagine. It's a great thing. Check out. Or if you want to hire Gab to come and speak for some kind of conference or gathering, mental health, as Gab mentioned, trauma informed, and she will make you laugh. So check her out. Thank you again. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, reach out to me, Janine Luby. You can find me on LinkedIn, Funny Wine Girl Janine on Facebook and on Instagram. Or if you have a friend who you're like, oh my gosh, my friend is so amazing, I would love to see her on the podcast. Reach out to me. Of course, as I like to say, kind of make sure that this is the type of person who'd want to talk on a podcast. That would be great to find out as well. And if you'd like to support conversations like this, I do have sponsorship packages that are very affordable, as low as $25 shout outs if you want to like promote an event or your website for your business or whatever. But then I do have packages that are a little bit more of an investment because you get more. So reach out to me. I'll put my email in the show notes if you're interested in that. And hey, as I say each week, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.